Hi everyone, welcome and thanks for joining. Today we're going to demystify workflow. Now before we get started, I have a couple of quick housekeeping announcements to cover. All attendees are in listen-only mode, but please feel free to use the chat window to send us any questions that you may have, and we'll be sure to answer all of those at the end. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel in a few days, so be on the lookout for that. So what are we going to cover today? We've got a lot, so let's just quickly run through the agenda and then we'll dive right in. So very quickly, I want to just start out by sharing with you who Able Solutions is and who I am, and then we'll talk about what exactly is workflow. We'll take a look at a couple of great sample business case studies, and then we'll talk about the Nintex workflow platform and how it can solve your organization's challenges surrounding automating work and making your business run more smoothly. Then we take a look at just how quickly and easily we can customize the user experience for capturing leave requests and how you could potentially build a user dashboard for that full process. And we'll finish up with a quick recap and then a look at some key financial benefits when implementing the Nintex stack. And of course, we'll answer any questions that may come up throughout the presentation. So as you can see, we have a jam-packed webinar for you today. So let's just jump right in and get started. So just a quick little bit about who Able Solutions is. For over 2 decades, clients have trusted us to help them reduce the cost, risk, and implementation time associated with solving their most critical business, IT, and collaboration challenges. We have about 30 employees in our Alpharetta and Marietta office locations here in Georgia, and we're a part of Applied Technical Services, which is a well-known engineering, consulting, and inspections firm. We heavily leverage the Microsoft technology to help companies achieve powerful business improvement through document management and workflow-enabled SharePoint solutions, unique applications, technology planning and support, and a wide array of complementary IT services. Now, among our growing list of industry-specific solutions, we also offer several pre-built collaboration frameworks that shrink implementation time and cost. Our customers include mid-market to enterprise-sized companies. And as a long-standing Microsoft Gold partner, we're focused on improving business productivity. We also offer services that help you achieve better IT cost control. And in addition to our partnership with Microsoft, we're also Nintex's go-to partner in the Southeast and longest-serving partner in the region, delivering Nintex software, services, and training since 2008. For more information about Able Solutions or Nintex, you can check out the websites listed at the bottom of this slide, follow us on Twitter, or contact us directly, and I'll be sharing some direct contact information at the end of the webinar. So who am I? My name is Nicole Prestby. I'm a senior SharePoint consultant here at Able Solutions, where Nintex is one of my primary areas of expertise. As I mentioned, Able Solutions is one of Nintex's premier partners, and we've had a very close relationship for many, many years. So because of the work that I've been able to do here at Able, I'm also a virtual technical evangelist for Nintex, which is equivalent to, if you're familiar, to Microsoft's MVP program. And it basically means that I am very active in community events. I handle all the pre-sales demos and discussions for Able Solutions, and I lead the charge on our Nintex consulting and training service offerings. My blog is listed there. Definitely feel free to check it out. I typically post tips and tricks that help you on your SharePoint and Nintex journey, or feel free to connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn. All right, so what in the world is workflow? It's no secret that the world is moving faster than ever. For individuals and businesses alike, the ability to complete tasks quickly isn't just a nice to have, it's expected. To keep pace in an ultra-competitive marketplace, it's essential for organizations to streamline their work wherever and whenever they can, not simply to keep the business running, but to push it forward as well. We're here today to demystify the topic of workflow, to speak in clear, simple terms about what workflow is, why it matters to businesses, and how workflow automation tools work. So let's start by taking a look at a couple of examples. Siemens is a global electronics and engineering conglomerate. They used a workflow solution to help automate their RFP and quoting process with vendors and suppliers. Previous attempts to automate this process had not been met with success, and the process they had was inefficient, costly, and cumbersome. Using the Nintex workflow solution, they found it extremely easy to model the process graphically, and as they realized the need for refining the process, it was very easy to modify and improve that process in near real time. New Belgium Brewery was in a state of product expansion, growing its offering from 5 to more than 30 beers. As a result, the company's product release processes, or lack thereof, were bogging down the business. To move beyond emails, meetings, and some basic SharePoint tools, the team at New Belgium implemented more than 20 workflows for the coordination and scheduling of new brew releases, guaranteeing that no details are missed and that New Belgium Brewery can respond quickly to market trends. So what kind of work do we want to make flow? As you can see from those examples, workflow automation can and should affect any process within your business, whether very big and very complex or small and to the point. And it's that fundamental philosophical difference between how the folks at Nintex and other folks approach workflow automation. So to build the most efficient business possible, many organizations go big and try to simplify the most complex, most critical processes that they can identify. Now, more often than not, those require a tech-heavy solution that takes a lot of time, talent, and cost to develop it and get it right. In fact, by the time that process is perfected, the world can look a whole lot different and the process may need to change again. So by focusing solely on those big processes, organizations really overlook smaller, everyday tasks that are equally important to creating and sustaining a thriving business. Purchase orders, expense approvals, onboarding new employees, creating documents. These aspects of running a business are the tasks that no one loves, everybody does, and no one questions. Small inefficiencies are, in the minds of most, simply the cost of doing business. When performing these everyday tasks, employees feel stuck in neutral while that fast-paced world continues to just whiz right on by them. Now, when you begin to better manage everyday routines, like we just discussed, it adds up to more productivity, a stronger bottom line, happier people, and opportunities for teams to focus on more strategic and inspiring endeavors. And if you think about processes like these, they all have a few things in common. They originate from anywhere in the organization. They represent the lifeblood of procedures that make the company run. Many people perceive them to be the processes that distract from quote-unquote real work. Because of this, they receive less attention to detail, and they're often where most mistakes are made. Now, taken together, they also add up to a significant amount of time and money, and yet they're ignored, rarely considered worth the time of traditional business process automation because they're not considered to be central. So when you expand your thinking on workflow automation to include both complex and everyday processes, you can see three big benefits. A much greater chance of success. They're often less complex taken one at a time too. This increases the chance of the person responsible for the process being actively involved in its automation rather than being farmed out to a developer and requiring a lot of explanation, communication in both directions. And they train users and your entire business how to think about workflow solutions and provide excellent preparation for addressing more classical core or elaborate processes that the organization faces. But it's not all about ROI. So when you automate workflows, large and small, across your business, you can get more done in less time and with less hassle. You can expand the impact of every team. You can do more good. You can focus on your mission. You can expand around the corner or around the world. And you can work on the things that matter. And that's why we love partnering with Nintex. Nintex makes automating workflow quick and easy so you can do more of what you do best. So how do we make workflow? Let's talk a little bit about specifically how the Nintex solution works. Before we do, I just want you to think of a couple of questions. Ask yourself, what's the most important assets your business has? And what's becoming one of the most abundant, complex, and difficult assets to manage within your business? If you're like lots of businesses that we talk to, the answer to question 1 is people. And among the answer to question 2 is content. Your people, your team, are the most valuable asset you have. They take care of customers. They create the service or product you sell. They run your back office. They manage your systems. They make your business work. They are your business. And increasingly, the content that you generate that helps your business run is one of your most abundant and complex assets. So as you refine your own internal processes, as you train your team, as you market and sell your product, as you interact with and service your customers, as you manage vendors, you're gathering data, you're trafficking information, you're creating content. And connecting your people to this important business content is what workflow is all about. You undoubtedly already have hundreds or thousands of processes that make your business work, that make your work flow. And the goal of workflow solutions is to automate those processes that connect people and content. This can mean person-to-person processes and person-to-contact direct processes. So with Nintex, you can tackle everything from basic business functions to company-wide processes with a few simple clicks, not code. You'll be able to quickly and easily turn time-consuming manual steps into automated, efficient workflows so you and your team can give more complex projects the time they deserve. So how does Nintex do it? By creating a system that's quick, easy, and powerful. So let me explain. With Nintex, you can build entire workflows in hours or days instead of months, so you can make an immediate impact on the productivity of your whole business. Nintex implementation and installation is fast and efficient, and the familiar interface means that you can get started automating business processes in the same day. Nintex includes catalogs of sample workflows, as well as time-saving smart defaults that pre-configure common activities and settings, so you don't have to start from scratch, and you can make simple adjustments to customize each workflow to your needs. This includes workflow logics like loops, parallel actions, state machines, library list actions like creating, deleting, copying items, and even calling a web service without writing any code. Nintex is considered to keep as many tools and settings as possible in one place, so you can avoid excessive screen navigation and cumbersome pop-up windows. Nintex Forms allows you to create and publish web-ready and mobile-ready forms that feature dynamic fields, data validations, conditional display areas, and custom formatting for rich interactions. And with Nintex Forms and Nintex Mobile, you can create a fully featured mobile workflow app using a browser-based workflow and forms application with a single publish action. You can custom brand your app and easily deploy it using an MDM solution. And you can deploy Nintex Forms outside your firewall with one click. You can allow external participants to submit forms and complete tasks without being behind your corporate firewall. Nintex also makes it easy to build automated workflows that are easy to use so your entire team can keep work flowing with a few simple clicks and without extra time or training. Nintex allows you to automate processes in minutes using an intuitive, easy-to-use, browser-based, drag-and-drop workflow designer that reduces the work involved in building, using, and improving processes. Nintex's lazy approval lets your team simply respond to an email notifying them of a decision to be made or information that they need to provide, so they can actually keep work flowing without jumping from one application to the next. Nintex Mobile allows you to access your SharePoint and Office 365 processes securely inside or outside of the firewall and even offline. So you can check your tasks as easily as checking your text and fill out forms, submit requests, start processes, complete tasks, and make approvals all from your smartphone or tablet. Nintex also integrates with Microsoft Skype for Business, so users can simply receive instant messages with prompts or requests for information and action, and the system will simply listen for your reply and then keep that process moving. All right, so lastly, Nintex connects any system you use to manage content on-prem or off so that you can tackle simple single department processes and complex company-wide workflows. Nintex includes support for a wide variety of protocols for talking to data and APIs from other systems so that you can build workflows that capture and use data from multiple solutions across your business. Nintex allows you to create workflows that stretch across both cloud-based and on-prem systems and services, so you can distribute your work to multiple sites for multiple purposes and move your data and your workflows to the cloud on your terms. And Nintex offers a wide variety of support for Yammer, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, WordPress blogging, and other social tools so that you can distribute your work using social media channels and monitor those channels to ensure that your work gets done. All right, so now let's take a look at just how easy it is to begin to automate these types of business processes with Nintex. So I'm just going to jump out of there. All right. So I am on a SharePoint site on Office 365 where we have a list called Leave Requests where users can submit requests for time off. And if I were to click on this New Item button here, I'm presented with this New Item form. And as it currently stands, that out-of-the-box SharePoint form experience is really pretty basic with all of the fields for data capture just stacked on top of each other. no options for custom styling, data validation, and so on. So what I want to show you today is how quickly and easily we can customize the user experience by using Nintex Forms. So I'm going to just simply click on that Nintex Forms button from my list. And this is going to launch the Nintex Forms Designer right inside of my browser, where I'm going to be prompted with two options for how I want to build my Nintex form. So first of all, I have the option for a classic form, where you basically create fixed width forms and have pixel perfect control over how and where every element is displayed. Now with classic forms, to create versions of the form that are optimized for different devices, you have to create individual device layouts. The new responsive forms designer is going to give us the option to allow Nintex to create modern looking forms that automatically adapt to any device, form factor, and screen size. So for our example today, I'm going to create a responsive form. All right, so I click that option for responsive forms and voila, I have an updated modern form that contains all of the fields that I specified when I created my list. And we can just make a few quick updates to customize the style and layout to suit our needs perfectly. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to update this layout to be more of a two-column layout. I want to use this space a little bit more efficiently. So I can simply drag and drop a couple of these controls around. And what you see is that not only does that row that I'm dragging to automatically adjust to add my new control in, but it's also going to remove rows that are no longer needed, which is huge. The next thing I want to do is I actually want to make this description field span the full width of my form. So when I hover over here, I can just simply click this increase width button, and there we go. Now he's taking up the full width of the form. And then I want to remove this attachments control completely because it's just not relevant for our leave request scenario that we're talking through now. So I'm just going to hit the little trash can icon and he's gone. So there we go. With what? Just a few seconds, we've kind of rearranged the layout of our form to better suit our needs and to better kind of leverage our space available. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to make a few changes to update the style of the form. So first, I want to get rid of this Nintex Forms header banner at the top. It's pretty and all, but it just does not really meet our corporate standards. So I've got my Able Solutions logo here that's stored in my site assets library on my site. And I'm just going to click that image and just reuse that image control and pop in my new URL. And there we've got our Able Solutions logo instead. So now we're making huge strides in branding this as being our form, right? Now I want to add a title to our form so that users know exactly which form they're filling out when they submit this request. So I'm going to come over here and grab a label control and then just drag and drop that onto my form. And you notice that it's actually going to, once again, automatically adjust. And it goes ahead and adds a whole new row for my label. So I want this label, I know I'm going to want it to span full width. So I'm just going to increase my width so that our label is now taking up the full width. And I'm also going to center align that text. Now I just simply double click into that label and I'm going to call this my leave request form. And then I'm going to apply one of our just kind of standard styling. So I'm going to make this in the heading 1 style, save that, and there we go. Now we have a title and we know exactly which form we're filling out. So the last thing that I want to do here real quickly is just to update the overall style for the form to coordinate more with our corporate branding. So what I mean by that is if you look down here, you see how we've still got this kind of bright orange button going on here. That's one of the first things that we want to change when we're adjusting the theme. So I can come over here into my properties panel and expand the theme options. And what I can do is I can actually swap out this primary color. I'm going to replace that with our official Able blue here. Apply that. And there we see it take effect right on the fly, right? So now my button is blue. It's no longer that orange that doesn't make sense for our corporate look and feel. I'm also going to update the secondary styling. Even though it's kind of a nice light gray color, I want to replace it with our kind of official Able gray, which is just a little bit darker, and we see that that updated the cancel button, and it also updated a few other elements around the form. The next thing that I want to do is I'm going to choose a different font. So we have a few built-in fonts that we can choose, and we can update these to match whatever fits our business needs. I'm just going to go with Blueprint. It's just a little bit heavier than the default font, a little bit bolder, and I like that for our corporate style. And then I'm going to open up the advanced styles. And the last thing that I want to update, it's a minor tweak, but it's nice to be able to have this control. In this the input text here, when my users are filling out the form, currently is this kind of grayish, blackish color. I'm going to actually, so it's a dark gray. I'm going to actually update that to be also our Able Blue. And you can see it's very subtle, but you can see here on my designer that went ahead and changed. And so now that's going to be blue. Now we're going to take a look at the live desktop version in just a minute, but what we can actually do is we can actually now preview our form, all of the changes that we made. We can choose which version we want. So we can actually go ahead and take a sneak peek and preview how this is going to look for any users who access this form from a smartphone. So as I mentioned, because we created a responsive form, Nintex is doing all that heavy lifting. It's taken what we've defined and it's going to automatically adjust it into an optimized layout for users on a smartphone device. So our logo shrinks down, we still have our title, it goes back to kind of a single column layout, and they're nicely stacked and organized in a way that makes total sense. And then here you can see kind of our blue, input text that we specified. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and publish that because I think that looks great. So let's go ahead and publish that form. So how does this all tie into that larger topic of making our work flow? So if I jump over here, the form customizations that I just showed you are really just the tip of the iceberg of what you can do with a tool like Nintex. Ultimately, you could create something like this. We've got an employee leave dashboard essentially here where users can come to submit and manage their requests, as well as view a calendar with all approved requests included. So for example, now when I come here and I say that I want to submit a new leave request, I'm going to get the desktop version of my fancy new Nintex form that I just specified. So I'm going to say I'm going to go on honeymoon and it's going to be kind of toward the end of this month. I'm going to leave for a week and I'm going to submit that through. So now what happens is a Nintex workflow is going to kick off and it's going to route that request to the appropriate person or people to review that request. And then Nintex actually has a couple of tools in its bag for how it can make it really easy for that approver to respond right from their notification email. They can either use kind of the tried and true lazy approval, where the approver can just reply back to the email with an approved word or phrase. They can just type in approved or rejected, and bam, that request is approved. Or most recently in Nintex for Office 365, we now have the option to include approval buttons right from within the email, so it's even easier. So what I can see here is I've gotten that email. Let me drag this over. So we get an email that looks kind of like this, where I get all the details of who's requesting what, from what days, what type of request it is. I have a link directly back to see full request details if I need to. And then I can just go ahead and approve that right here from my email by just clicking that link. And then we notice that my email changes. It says reply received. It was approved. Easy peasy, all done. Close my email and I'm moving on with my day. Could not be easier. So now the last step is that once that request gets approved, it is going to be added onto our calendar, and there we go. So now we see our new item, Nicole Prestby's on vacation for her honeymoon for this last week of the year, and we notice here's our item over here, and that leave request approval workflow that I mentioned is doing all the magic behind the scenes has completed. So we're all done, and we're good to go on vacation. Awesome. All right. So that was a really, really quick example of just some of the power of what Nintex provides. So wrapping up, Nintex reveals the power of the everyday with software and cloud services that allow organizations to quickly and easily automate day-to-day business processes using clicks rather than code. The result, Nintex fills that void between IT and the business, giving more people the power to design and manage their own workflows. Ultimately, it boils down to this. Deeply rooted institutional processes don't fix themselves. It's up to business leaders, project managers, and IT pros to examine those day-to-day routines within their organization and identify those that are ripe for automation. When you begin to better manage everyday routines, it adds up to more productivity, a stronger bottom line, happier people, and opportunities for teams to focus on more strategic and inspiring endeavors. All right. So what happens when you make your workflow? When you embrace this broader, more inclusive workflow philosophy, your business can see tremendous benefits. So let's talk a little bit about financials. Nintex commissioned Forrester Research to study and examine the potential return on investment by deploying the Nintex workflow platform. Forrester's interviews with customers, together with their financial analysis, found that organizations had a 176% return on investment, payback within 10.5 months, 8 to 15% gains in employee productivity, and organizations avoided additional costs of custom code versus using Nintex. The Forrester research also noted that with the Nintex platform, organizations can easily make changes as business processes evolve, which we all know they do constantly, and the queue and reliance on IT for automation is reduced, which enables productivity gains for the IT team and the entire business. All right, so who's excited? Are you ready to get started? Do you want to learn more? Contact our business development specialist, Carol Redaway, to schedule a demo of the full Nintex stack. So her email address is listed up there. As I mentioned, this was like the very, very tippy top of the iceberg. So if this interested you, if you think you have a need for this type of process automation, if you think that you've got these inefficiencies going on in your organization, which everybody does, contact us because we can definitely help you. We, with the power of Nintex behind us, can certainly help you kind of run more efficiently. All right, so with that, we will jump on over to questions. I think we've had a couple of questions come through the question pane. All right, so give me 1 second and let me take a look. And feel free, if you've got questions, go ahead and throw them into the chat window and we'll answer them now. So, okay, so this is a good question. So why would someone use the classic designer instead of the new responsive designer that we kind of focused on today? So this may be coming from someone who has experience with the classic designer, which for those of us who are familiar with the classic designer, the responsive designer is amazing. But the thing that classic designer offers you is that you've got the ability to apply those really advanced customizations through CSS and custom JavaScript. So you don't have the ability to apply custom CSS and custom JavaScript right now to the responsive designer. We're just letting Nintex kind of do its thing and kind of do what it thinks is best. Whereas in the classic designer, if you need those kind of advanced functionality and style control, if you want that pixel perfect control over how and where every single element is displayed for each specified device, classic designer is going to still give you that level of control if you want it. If you just want to get up and running real super quick and you want to make it mobile and truly responsive, now you have that option, which is awesome. So someone asked how you go about adding the approved leave request onto that calendar that I showed. So that's actually handled through the Nintex workflow behind the scenes. So you can actually very easily create a new item on the calendar list or any list within SharePoint or elsewhere right when that request is approved. So that's just a matter of the specifications of our Nintex workflow that runs behind the scenes when the request is submitted. Okay, so, and it sounds like this may have gotten juices flowing for someone. So is there kind of a list of example processes that are good examples for automating? So we covered a bunch of them, but the typical ones that we see are like safety inspections, sales proposal process, leave requests that we talked about, job requisitions, new employee provisioning, onboarding, offboarding, that type of thing. And then it's also worth mentioning too that we've got a really nice infographic that should be coming out in the next week or so in a follow-up email that lists out the top 5 processes across 6 departments that came directly from Nintex. So that should also kind of help keep your juices flowing too. If you're trying to figure out which processes do I target, that might help. And then let's see. Integrated in end users Outlook. So I'm not sure exactly what type of Outlook integration that you're looking for, but it does integrate from a perspective of we can definitely send email notifications, customized email notifications. So submission confirmations when your request is received, the task, when a task is assigned to someone to approve a request, we can send really beefy, dynamic email messages to that user. And then we can even say, so I showed you a couple of examples. So on Office 365 now we have that the actionable message button within the email. We always have the option for lazy approval where you can just reply back to the email to complete your task. On-prem, you also have the option through the Nintex mobile app. You can get your task notifications right within the app and get push notifications like any other app and complete them through there. And then we can even like capture, if you reject something, we can say that we want to require comments. We can capture those comments and pass them back to the requester to kind of keep that communication happening. So it definitely integrates with end users Outlook through there. As far as from a provisioning perspective, you have options there as well with the Enterprise Edition. If you want to provision Exchange mailboxes and things like that, there's definitely those options. And then another question. Okay, so YouTube infomercials and demos of the complete tool set. Okay, so I'm going to say we're going to reach out to you. So asking about the complete tool, demo of the complete tool set and how it's priced. We will reach out to you. I'm going to pass your name along to Carol Redaway today, and she'll connect with you and she'll get you all that information, and we'll get going from there to give you more info on that. All right, so with that, we're over just about 1 minute. I apologize, but I really, really thank y'all for joining. I hope this was interesting. Again, if you've never seen something like this before and this intrigues you and you think that you have a use for this type of process automation, contact us, let us know. We'd love to help you out. So thanks for joining, and have a great day.